Going on, guys? Mini GT61 here, and today we are going to be doing a video on Fast and the Furious, the storyline to it, and I shall be talking about a few of the characters. But first, I want to do a couple of shout outs for a few people. The first person is what's his name? Where is it? Sorry guys, I just had his name up on my phone there, and now I just lost it. It is Scott C _04. Please check out his channel. He's got some nice videos to Fortnite. I think he's got some videos to zombies as well. I'm not sure, but don't forget those. Subscribe to his channel. Turn on post notifications for new videos from his channel. And the next shout out I want to do is someone called Epic Horses. Please go check out their channel as well. Don't forget to give them a like, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for them. And I want to also give a shout out to a certain somebody who's been helping me out with the streams lately. He is the main man. He helps me out with a hell of a lot. I'm telling you now, he is one of the best. And to be honest with you, I don't know what I don't know how I could have done these. How I could have done these. Wow, done the live stream for. I can't get my words out. I don't know how I could have done the live stream for. Oh God, I can't find his channel. Yeah, he's my main man. He helps me out with all the tribute to tribute to Paul Walker. He's helped me out with quite a few others as well, and I'm trying to find his channel so I can give him a shout out, but I cannot find his channel. Literally, I'm looking for his channel right now, and I'm struggling here to find his channel so I can give him a shout out. But if I can find it for you guys, I will give him a shout out. Hi there to the person who's just joined in. If you're wondering what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing the Fast and the Furious storyline. I'm going to be covering some of the characters as well from different Fast and the Furious. And as you can tell, I have got Paul Walker's Skyline sat here, what I use for the tribute. We're going to be talking about some of the characters from the first Fast and the Furious and how he got his Skyline in the second one as well. So yeah, just give me a sec. I'm just gonna quickly do something. Yeah, the person who helps me out with the streams, go check out his channel. It is Josh Lee Joshy. He is an absolute beast. He's been doing zombies, Ghost Recon, and he's also helped me out with my streams as well. And to be honest with you, I don't know what I'd do without him. He is one of the best people who's helped me out with these streams. But without further ado, let's get into this video. Let's start off with one of the main characters, which is Brian. Brian in the first Fast and the Furious, he doesn't really know Dominic Toretto very well at the moment. He's like an undercover cop to start off with, but they don't know about that. It's like because Vince and Dom, no, not Vince and Dom, Vince and Brian at the start, because I just messed that all up, didn't I? From the first scene, you'll see a lorry being loaded up with load of electrical goods, TVs, DVD players, everything, and there's a bloke who's inside. He's basically gave the info to Dom, Vince, Letty, Leon, and Jesse that there's a truck what's heading their way, and he says don't forget to share the deal. But he's actually just gave them the intel to that lorry what's got all the goods on. So Vince, Leon, and Jesse and Letty, Vince, Leon, Jesse, and Letty are going to go hijack that lorry. And as you can tell, most probably tell, it's the first car is the one what takes out the window on the lorry to start off with. is I think it's Leon. No, yeah, Leon and Jesse. I think it is in that one. And then it's no, sorry, my bad. It's Letty and Jesse in the first car. It takes the window out in the lorry. And then the second one is Vince and Dom, because Vince gets into the truck and then commandeers the truck, and then he drives the truck with them, the guys following him, and then they take it to safety and then get rid of all the goods and everything and sell it. And then it comes to the scene where Brian has got his Mitsubishi Eclipse, and to be honest with you, that is a really nice car. It's like his first time street racing as well, so what he's basically doing is like, well, he's trying to test out how fast his car can go, and he forgets that he only has like, I think it's 6 gears or 5 gears he has in the Eclipse, and he thinks he has more gears. And of course, as he tries to put it into another gear, he puts it into reverse, and that's where he spins out. So he's gone to Toretto's Caf, which is run by Mia and Dom. So yeah, so he's having a sandwich as normal, and Dom's looking at him a bit funny because he's not too sure about him, but he's been going there for quite a while, and Brian does not like really click on to what's going on. And then it's Leon, Jesse, Vince, and Letty what pulls up outside. Vince decides to make things worse and decides to badmouth Brian. And then Brian decides to fight back, and that's where Brian gets confronted by Dom. And but he also doesn't know that Dom is the boss of Racer's Edge. So Racer's Edge is like basically the high performance parts and parts shop where Dom's like the owner of it. And Brian, he's been hired as normal, as everyone would do for a job. They get hired, but he decides to make things a bit worse with Dom. So he goes, "Yo man, this is bullshit." And then of course, Dom turns around and goes, working at Harris, right?" And then Brian turns around and goes, "Yeah, I just started." But then Dom turns around and goes, "You were just fired," because Brian didn't know that he was the boss of that company. And he goes in there and Harry, Harry I think it is, for who's like thingy of Racer's Edge. Like I think it's like a sort of like a boss towards it, but Dom's like the big boss of Racer's Edge. So what he's like, so it's like Brian's walking through. He's going to change his top as normal. Gives himself a quick wash off on the face, and it's like one of them things where Brian's like stood there for a sec, mind goes blank, then all of a sudden, I need NOS kind of thing what goes through his head. And then Harry's like, "No, you'll blow yourself to pieces. I've seen the way you drive, you've got a heavy foot." And Brian's like just thinking of the street race, and he says that he wants 2 of the big nitrous bottles. But what he's forgetting is he's got direct port nitrous injection into that car, and direct port nitrous injection, wow, let's just say you could, if it goes horribly wrong, it could blow up the car or it could blow the engine. But in this case, he goes to the races, the meet where they all meet up. He meets Hector, which is he's just like one of them normal people. He's just laid out, chilled back. Then he meets Edwin, I think it is, which is Ja Rule, which is one of the rappers. He did a song for Fast and the Furious, which is in the first one. But yeah, so Brian races him, and he comes second. He says to Dom that he almost had him, and Dom's just like, you almost had me. You never had me. You never had your car. Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should. But when he says granny shifting, not double clutching like you should, what everyone seems to don't click onto is when at the start of that race, where they're all lined up, they all put it into first gear, but Dom when it as Hector says go, Dom pulls it into second, which gives him a power boost, which is technically double clutching. Instead of like starting off in first, he gets more of a power boost over everyone else, and that's how he stays in front. But Brian, though, to be honest with you, he almost had him. I gotta admit, he almost did have him, but he used that nitrous at the wrong moment. If he used it at the right moment, he would have caught him and he would have beat him. But he fried the engine, or so they say. But then he's managed to actually get the car running again somehow. I don't know how he did it. He got the car running. He was driving it, and ooh, sorry, pardon me, guys. So yeah, he's basically he owes Dom the 10-second car and all this. So Johnny Tran, he comes along, takes him out, like takes him to like a certain place, and then blows the car up, and then Johnny and Brian and Dom go back to the house. And so yeah, I'm trying to skip through it a little bit, like how the through that bit, like through the first few scenes and all that, and then I want to talk about, I'm trying to get into like context of the characters. But like as you can see from Dom, he's like a bit of a laid back person, like when he's alright, but when he gets angry, then that's like the point where it's like where he nearly it's like he just totally loses it. It's like how can I put it? It's like a bull, for example. A bull is nice and calm, but when it gets provoked or something, it just totally loses it and goes around smashing everything up. It's a bit like that, his temper is. But it's crazy. So he's a back person, but the people who the police people who Brian's undercover with says he's got a gas tank for a brain or something, or a nitrous oxide in his blood. So, and you don't want to turn your back on him, and it's just like, wow, okay. So it's like, so yeah, so he gets his car. Sorry guys, I'm just quickly I am sorry guys if I keep stopping and going really quiet. I'm just like quickly texting people because they're asking me questions and everything. So sorry, I'm just quickly trying to answer their questions as much as possible. So Dom's got his own little garage where everyone's working on cars and all that, and of course Brian says to his superiors that he needs another car, but the Eclipse, what he had, was $80,000, and it got blown up by, it got blown up by the it got blown up by Johnny Tran and Lance, obviously, and so they give him a Supra, which is like from a scrapyard, and Dom looks at it. And he's like, I want a 10-second car, not a 10-minute car. And then Brian turns around and goes, no faith. And of course, he goes, he's like, oh no, he's like, no faith. He goes, oh, I have faith in you, but this ain't a junkyard. This is a garage. And he tells them to pop the hood. And when they do pop the hood, they see it's got a 2JZ engine, which is very powerful. And it's one of them cars what will decimate all after you put like so much money into it, and then you can just like keep it running races and everything. But I don't want to keep like talking about certain cars and all that. I want to actually talk about the characters, what's actually in the film. But I keep getting distracted by the cars. Like when they do the certain scenes, they have like really nice cars. But yeah, so it's like Vince is like a person who grew up with Dom. Like not literally grew up with him, but he lived just down the street, and they've been friends for years. And it was the same with Letty as well. They all like basically went to school together, grew up together, and all that. And the thing is that with Letty and Dom, they're actually seeing each other. But it's like they tried to make it look like they ain't seeing each other in the film, but they are, because you can tell like the way they like behave around each other. And with Jesse and Leon, they turned up one day and they just never ever left. So it's like they've become friends over the years, and they've been doing like all this like hijacking these lorries, like, and they know each other, but they don't call themselves a gang. They call themselves a team, because it's like they work together, they help each other out, and they do all sorts of things with each other. Like it's like they work on cars and they hang out and have food and everything. So yeah, so Mia obviously is Dom's sister, and Dom is very protective over his sister. But what he doesn't know is that, well, he does know, because Brian falls for Mia, and Brian has the worst thing to do. Is like when it gets to the point though, he has to choose a side, either the team or choose the police force. And in that situation though, if anyone was in that situation, it would be a really, really hard situation to try and figure out what to do, because you got somebody who you've fallen for, and also the team like Dom, Leon, Letty, Vince, who you've been talking to, hanging around with, and become acquainted with, friends with them. And it's one of them, it's like one of them things though, but they all seem to have chemistry with each other, all of them do. And with Jesse, I feel sorry for Jesse, because he has the ADD, some, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like attention dissension, or ADD something. Like it's like HDHD, something like that, but something like a different name for it. And he failed his school, failed maths. He dropped out of school, but it's something about engines what calms him down, which is it's just like comforting for him. But he's like really brainy when it comes to cars. He knows what to do, and he's like a master mechanic kind of thing. So I even though he went to school, but he failed his school, and he's also like a fucking hell, but it's also like sorry guys, it's like oh god, my mind's just gone blank, guys. Sorry about that. Yes, so it's like he's like one of the people who does the engines and everything on the cars, and it's like he's been working on Vince's car as well, like sorting out Vince's car, because there's something wrong with Vince's car. And it's like from the first, I think it's the second part of the scene of the opening film, because he says to Jesse, top team Jesse, saying working brother, and it's like, and then Jesse turns around and goes, it's your fuel, man, it's a nasty hole, that's why you're loading in third. And of course he's trying to tell him what needs to be done, and he's trying to sort it out. And yeah, so he's trying his hardest to sort the car out, and then it's the one though what gets me. The one scene what does actually get me is when it's like when from Race Wars this bit is now. It's like I'm trying to sort of think it through a little bit quicker than, so I've already covered it this one in the tribute. So I'm just trying to have you guys refresh your memory a little bit. With the tribute as Fast and Furious, what I did with my good friend. So yeah, so I'm just trying to speed up a little bit. So yeah, so from Race Wars, he obviously Jesse obviously races trying for slips, and then Jesse loses. But the bit what I forgot to say was that Brian and the police officers all raided Johnny Tran's people. So they basically got Lance arrested. So they arrested Lance and they arrested Johnny Tran as well. But at the after Jesse and Tran had raced, and Jesse had lost, unfortunately. Tran says to Dom, "Whatever, go fetch my car," and Dom's like, "Go fetch your car. We're not on your block anymore, so watch who you talk to like that." And then obviously Tran gets really angry and then starts shouting Toretto. So he's like trying to get him to turn around, and he's saying, "Swat, come into my house, disrespecting my whole family because someone knocked me out." And you know what?
Gotta
It was
keep it
you.
up.
And of course, when he says that, Dom gets really angry, and then, wow, delivers the ultimate left hook and takes him out. Well, I think it was a left hook. I think it could have been a left or a right. I'm not sure. But he took him down to the ground and then started beating the crap out of him. And it's just like, and then he pulls off of him, and then Dom shouting, "I never knocked on nobody. I never knocked on nobody." And which is true, because he didn't even know what was going on. So he didn't know it was Brian who raided Johnny Tran's house and got arrested Johnny Tran. But it's so yeah. So when they finish that bit there, it comes to the night time, obviously, and Dom, Letty, Leon, Vince go check after the truck. After this truck, 'cause it's the money load what they've been after for a while, and he says it's a long form of vacation, I think it was, for everybody. But they've got one man down, and Letty and Leon are saying they got a feeling your sister's right. This ain't good. Got a feeling about this one. Your sister's right. This one doesn't feel good. And Dom says stop, and then Leslie says we shouldn't be doing this without Jesse, and then Dom says stop, and it's just like, it's true though, they shouldn't be doing it without Jesse because he's part of that team, but he's also helps them out. But when they go for it's like when they was talking to Mia though about it, she was saying, "I haven't said shit, and I'm asking you not to go." And Dom's trying to say he's doing it for both of them, but he's actually doing it for the team, like for everyone. But Mia's saying that he ain't doing it for everyone, like doing it for them. He's doing it for him, like for his house. But she's obviously crying, but Brian's actually seen what was sat in the trailer, looking through the window and listening in to what they were saying. But he knows about the trucks, what they've been hijacking. So what he does though, he says to Mia, he says, "So what was that all about?" She goes, "What, Brian?" And he goes, so you always have tears in your eyes when John drives away?" And she goes, "What's your problem, Jesus?" and all that. And then he goes, "Mia, I'm a cop." He says that he's a cop to her, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Ever since I first met you, I've been undercover." And she's not very happy about that. And she calls him a bastard. Basically just repeats it a few times to him. And he's trying to get her to help him, save Leon, Letty and Vince and Dom from, so they don't know what's going to happen. So it comes to the scene where Leon, Letty and Vince and Dom are going to hijack the truck. Vince takes the window out on the truck as normal, and then he puts the second one into the chair, which supposedly holds it in without ripping. But as he gets out of the car through the sunroof, he's about to jump off. Dom notices that my bad, sorry guys. Dom noticed that the truck driver has a shotgun, and he looks again in the mirror, and he's trying to shout to Vince, "No, don't do it, Vince. Come back in." As he taps on the roof, it says to come back in. Vince thinks that's okay for him to jump, so he jumps, and he notices that, and he finds out that the bloke has a shotgun, and the bloke tries to shoot Vince with the shotgun, at the start when he's on the front of the truck. And of course, Vince then decides to take his helmet off because they're like wearing bike helmets with like dark like visors, like goggles on, so their faces can't be seen. And then, wow. So what he's done now is that he's basically just like gave his identity away, saying like basically like taking off his helmet. Vince has, and he's on the front of the truck, and Dom's saying to him to. Vince shouts to Dom. Sorry, I keep getting the names mixed up. He goes, "Get me off this thing," and Dom's saying, "Unhook yourself." They keep repeating it, but they can't quite hear each other. So what he's trying to do is Vince is trying to get off the truck. So he's just found out that bloke has a shotgun, which is, well, devastating for anybody really. And so he's trying to get off there, and of course as he's about to jump, the trucker hits the brakes, which brings Vince from the front all the way around, and then he hits the side with the wire wrapped round his arm, which is digging into his arm, cutting his arm open. And Dom's saying, unhook yourself, but Vince is shouting, "I can't get my arm free." And at that point, the wire is actually digging in deep to his arm, which is actually starting to cut it open. And Dom's trying to get him off the truck, and Letty comes up to this one side, tries to distract the driver of the lorry to try and go for her. And what he does is he shoots the back window out on her car, and Dom's trying to get Vince off, but then the truck driver shoots the front wheel of the car on Dom's car, which I don't know what it does to it exactly, because I thought he would have shot the outer tire to flatten the tire down, but he shoots through into the alloy, which I don't know what it does to the alloy, but it starts sparking and everything. So he could have fucked up the drivetrain or something. So he's trying to get him off the truck, and Letty says, "Move out of the way, Dom. I'm coming to get him." So as she's coming up on the right hand side, as she gets to the side, the truck driver knocks her off the road, which makes Dom very anxious. He shouts, "Letty!" And he says to Leo, and then Leo obviously answers the radio. "Yo, go, pull back for Letty." And then he goes, "I got her. You get Vince off that truck." So he's gone back for Letty, while Dom's trying to get Vince off that truck, and he's trying his hardest. But then the bloke in the truck, he shoots through the door, and it hits Vince on his side, which gives him obviously a shotgun wound, obviously. So he's been shot, but he's actually starting to lose blood from two places, from his arm and his side. And then the truck driver decides to put a bullet through into the engine of Dom's car, which makes it so it basically kills the car. And then Brian comes flying up. He's noticed that Vince is on the truck. He's got his arm trapped. He's got a shotgun wound. So Brian jumps onto the truck, and then he's trying to get him off the truck, is in this case. So yeah, so it's he's trying his hardest to get him off the truck. He's saying to him, "Don't let go." Because Vince is starting to fade out a little bit, but he's saying to him, "Don't let go. Whatever you do, don't let go." And of course, he gets his arm untangled, unhooks him off the wire, and he tells Mia to come closer with the car. So he puts Vince into the car, and then Brian decides to look into the window, and he sees the bloke holding the shotgun towards him, and then he jumps up onto the top of the car, which is he's holding on top of the car, obviously, where the sunroof was, and then the trucker decides to knock the car off the road down onto the dirt. And then when he did that though, the bit what I've noticed is when it comes down off the road onto there, Brian, who's up on top of the car, he nearly comes off when it's come down onto the dirt, because his legs are dangling off, and he's still holding on tight to the front piece of the window pillars. And he's he's like, they get Vince out of the car and they take him to the like into the middle of the into the middle of the field near enough, and they call a lifeline pull out right away kind of thing, because he'll be dead in 10 minutes if they don't get him to a hospital. But then they know that Brian. Then Dom finds out that Brian is a cop, and he's like not very happy. But then it gets to the end scene. Like Nuss is getting towards the end scene, obviously. I'm just trying to like speed it through a little bit for you guys, as I have said. So yeah, so it's like he's basically like now he's like Dom's got the charger out, obviously. Brian comes up to the house, and he sees Dom walking down with the shotgun, and he says, "Dom, put the gun down now." And then Dom replies back, "Move your car." He goes, "No, bullshit, no more running." And then Dom turns around and goes, "I'm not running." And he's saying that he needs to go find Jesse for Johnny Tran, and his cousin Lance find him. So but then Brian turns around and says, "I'll call in the plates, and PD will pick him up way before Johnny even gets near him." But then out of nowhere, Jesse just pulls up, and he's saying to Dom that he's so sorry, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's scared. But when he's saying that, Johnny Tran and Lance are coming up the road on their bikes, and they shoot poor Jesse. Literally, they shoot him. But then Brian goes after them, and then Dom decides to get into the Charger and go the other way. And that makes me think, cause he goes the other way, and the bikes go to the right, and he goes to the left. It's like, what's he doing? Because they come from that way. But then you find out that he took a shortcut, and he takes Lance out off the bike. He takes Tran off Lance off the bike. But Lance could have landed that bike, but he hit the front brakes like a numpty, and then he come flying off over the top, and Brian goes after the other one. It's which makes it a bit more hostile, because he's in the middle of like pedestrians and everything. Chan opens fire. Brian stops the car and shoots him, but then it comes to the scene where Brian and Dom erase him. It comes to the scene where Dom and Brian erase him. So he's like, they obviously, Chan dies, obviously, because he got shot in the side near the top, which makes it which bleeds him out, obviously. And then it comes to the race where Brian and Dom erase him, and then they get over the train tracks after Dom's car had a little malfunction with the engine. So as they're like coming away from that piece, there's a truck what pulls out, but there's a ramp on that truck, and the car goes up, spins right, basically like tilts the car, obviously. And then Brian goes and see if Dom's okay, but then they start to hear the police sirens, and then it's obviously like oh, sorry about that, guys. So he's basically like saying to Dom, he pulls out the keys to the Supra and gives them to Dom, and then Dom goes, "You know what you're doing?" He goes, "I owe you a 10-second car," which is actually true. He owes him a 10-second car, so he gives him the Supra, and he's obviously, wow, he's obviously, he drives off, and then that's the end of Fast and the Furious 1. But in Too Fast, Too Furious, it has the prelude, from Fast 1, but it doesn't show the bit where he shows Dom driving off. It shows Brian in his house in the bathroom with his LOPD badge hung up on the mirror, obviously, of his cabinet, and he's looking in the mirror, and he's reflecting back on what he did, saying to Dom, I owe you a 10-second car. But then the police are after Brian now. I'm not sure why they're after him, but then he's obviously like then he like makes a break for it, gets out, he stops at a motel and everything, and then he goes to like a chain restaurant diner kind of like deal. So then he's obviously like goes to another motel, sleeps there, and as he comes out, he's like ready to go. But the police found his car, what he's been using, so he can't really use that car. So he starts walking, and then the woman who he met in the chain restaurant diner, she's coming up behind him, and then she picks him up, and she gives him a lift, but she doesn't know who he is. So it's like when he gets out the car, she's left a newspaper on the seat where he sat. And he looks down, he sees it, but then she sees who he is, but he's been dropped off at a car dealership, and he's looking for a car, and this is where his lovely looking Skyline comes from. He sees it sat in the back, and he says to the bloke that he wants that one, and the bloke's son, he's like, nah. He gives him, pulls out a wad of cash, and the kid's like shaking his head no, but his father goes yeah. So he has the Skyline, and this is the bit where he starts getting it done up slowly. So he's doing races, getting it done up after each race, and he's racing a lot of people, and then he gets to Miami, and this is where it starts with Too Fast, Too Furious, and he's obviously like. Because Tej Parker is he knows, like, Brian has known him for a while, and he's obviously like one of them people. He's like a hacker. He knows how to do certain stuff, but he's like, he has his own little garage as well, like, so it like does up cars and all that. But he has his master mechanic Jimmy, which is like, he's like a cool guy, I guess, and he lets him crash there, and there's a race what's going on with a certain someone called Suki, and she's like a young lass who Brian knows, but it's like one of the other racers goes, I'll get you a car, I'll race when you get a car worth racing or something, and then that's where Brian pulls up. And then Suki looks over and goes, shit, it's Brian. And when Brian gets out the car, she goes, what's up, boy? And then he says something to Suki back, and then Brian goes, well, it's about raising the stakes, and then like kick it up a nickel or something. And then this other bloke goes, it's like, nobody says about raising the stakes. And then, of course, Brian intimidates him and goes, well, if that's the case, why don't you ask these nice people to back off the line so you can go home? And then he goes, okay, 35 large. It's like basically like 3 Cinco or something, he says. And then fuck it, and it's like they obviously like race and all that. And there's a bloke in the Supra, he's like being a pain in the butt, trying to like stop Brian from overtaking him. And then obviously it gets to the bridge where they've like thingied up the bridge, and well, Tej is like had a bit of a surprise for him, and they didn't know about it. So Brian, it's like when they stood on the bridge, it was like one bloke was like, and then so the other one was like, and Brian was like, bridge. But the bloke who was in front, he started to hit his nitrous, and then he was like up in front for like a few minutes, and then Brian was like following up behind. Then he started to hit his nitrous at the last moment, hit both buttons for his nitrous and holds them down. And that's the point where he goes over 100, I think it's like 160 or something he hits. And then it's like all of a sudden it's like they're up in the air obviously. The first bloke is like, whoa, kind of thing. Then all you hear from Brian's woohoo kind of thing as you're going over the top of him. Like he's like literally flies over the top. The bloke in the Supra looks up, and he sees Brian coming over the top of him in the skyline. And then he obviously like takes the lead. But when the bloke in the Supra lands, he actually fucks up his drive chain on his the drive shaft on his car, which like digs into the ground, and he starts to lose control of his car, and then he crashes into a billboard, and that's where he gets screwed over. But when Brian finishes the race, Tej hands the money to Brian, what he's won, but he also gives some money to Tej though, and Tej says, "You see this? This is what you call mutual respect." And then it's like he's like Brian's about to go talk to this girl, like not a girl, actually like a bird, like a fit bird, and she's like, "It's time to get out of here." He goes, "Why is that?" And then all of a sudden, it's the cops just like come in, because she's an undercover agent for like customs or something.
Gotta stay.
And he's like, and it's like the cops like trying to try and get hold of Brian, so they can get him to do his job for them. And it's obviously it's like new starter to the police force. He's like trying to catch up to him, and he's like, "I got him, this on Skyline." And of course he the new starter bloke crashes, and all the street racers go flying past him. And then it's what's his name? I can't think of his name. But he stood there with this a special gun. It's like aerial ESD, something like that. It's like when it hits electronic car, say for example you shoot it at your car, it basically shuts down all the power, everything to that car. So it's basically just it's like an EMP, but in a gun version kind of deal. So then they get him, they take him into the police station, and then he's like, "We know you're Brian O'Connor. I used to be on the force and all that." He goes, "You got the wrong man." He goes, "Oh really?" And then it's Bilkins from first Fast and the Furious.
Hold the lead time.
He comes through the door. "How you doing, O'Connor?" All that stuff saying to him, and then Brian's not very happy because he's basically found out that he's really Brian O'Connor, and so now he's they're showing him what's happening, they're a drug runner or a drug boss or something, or drug cartel. Not quite sure, but his name's Carter Verone, born in Argentina and recently came to Miami, but they've been having a hard time putting him and the money together. It's the bloke he was saying about it, he says, "You're gonna roll with Agent Dunn here, you guys are gonna be and then Brian's like, what, so we're supposed to be street racers or something?" He goes, "That's right." So he's so he goes up to him and he goes, "We're gonna be partners. Can you tell me right quick what would be a better motor for my Skyline, a Gallo 12 or a Gallo 24? And of course, the new starter looks at the other bloke and he just shrugs his shoulder. He goes, 24. And he goes, "Well, I didn't know pizza parlors made motors." And the bloke looks down at the drink, what he's drinking, because it's somewhere called Gallo's Pizza or something. And Brian knows loads of tricks to catch people out. And he's like, if this is the best what you're gonna give me, I might as well take my chances with Gino. And he goes, "Alright, we'll get somebody else." He goes, "No, the only way I'll do this if I choose the person." And he goes, "Alright then, O'Connor, who you got in mind?" He goes, this dude I grew up with in Barstow, Roman Pierce, which is Tyrese Gibson. Tyrese. I think his last name's Gibson. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a check. And they go see him, but he's got a tag on his leg, ankle bracelet. He's on house arrest. He can't go more than so many yards from his home. But he thinks in the Derby. And when he sees Brian, it's he's like really angry, and of course, him and Brian have a fight, and he says, what was it? He goes, I did 3 years because of you, Brian. He goes, and then Brian's like, I told you it was my fault. And he was like, there was like, having like a little, like Brian was like trying to mess around with him, have like a little play fight and all that. And then he says, I got a deal for you. And he goes, when I need your ass, you'll know where to be found. Now you're handing out deals. And then they get up and they start like being like hostile towards each other. He goes, I need you to come to Miami and drive with me. If you do, they'll clear your record and take that ankle bracelet off. They'll clean your entire record. He's like, turns around and goes, I did 3 years because of you, Brian. And of course,
Yes.
the other bloke who's with Brian, and Roman says to him, he goes, this job deal, is it legit? He goes, it will be if you help us pull off this job. And so what they do is they take him to Miami, they brief him, and this is where they get the Evo and the Spider. But unfortunately though, guys, I can't get the Spider in Need for Speed for you guys, so I can show you it. But sorry guys, my throat's hurting a little bit, so trying to clear it a little bit. So yeah, so they get the Evo and the Spider, and Roman turns around and goes, don't go for the convertible because it's like, what was it? It's too much chrome for you, 'cause it might loosen your moves. And then Brian turns around and goes, that's cool for me, that's too much chrome for me anyways. And then so obviously the woman gets in the car with Brian, and then Roman turns around and goes, why she got to ride with you? And she's like, you get the convertible. And then so like they was going to Verone, like so they hired some thugs and everything to make it legit. So what they're doing is basically like showing to Verone that they like prove they're trying do like a proof like thingy to like work for him. But what he doesn't know is that they're undercover, like trying to like expose him, trying to put him and the money together. And then it gets to the one bit where they go to this trailer park, and the two thugs what Verone has, they don't speak very much English, and so what they're doing is they go to this one trailer, they tell the bloke to get out. As one bloke was about to hit the wall with the sledgehammer, the other one was like whoa 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 kind of thing, and takes off the painting off the wall. So then they start smashing the wall. Brian looks through the door and he sees that there's a load of money in the wall. And then they put the money into bags, and they tell them to load up the cars. And there's 3 bags in each car, in the 2 cars. So that's 6 bags altogether. So what they do is that they get away from there, but they got cops on them, all of Miami's cops on them. So what they was doing is that they got to try and figure out a way of getting that money like out of the way of the cops and into Verone. So what it was is that they recently raced Fonzie and Fabio for their cars, which is like 2 muscle cars. So they raced them 2. They got their cars, and so they modified them a little bit, like with because as Brian said, is there only half empty bottles of nitrous laying around? And Jimmy was like, sure, I've already loaded you with spray. He goes, no, I'm thinking about our cars may get a little crowded, and he was knocking on the door. He was like saying about a ejector seat. So they press a button, and they eject the person out the car. So they've managed to actually pull that off somehow. I don't know how they did it, but it's like, so they got them cars like at this place where they take their 2 normal cars, the Evo and the Spider, to where they got the 2 muscle cars. So they switched cars, and then all of a sudden it's like oh, we got the area surrounding, they got nowhere to go. So it's like they're looking at all these garages, then all of a sudden they hear the roar of the engines. Load of the doors roll up, 4x4s pickups come out, they crash the cruisers what's like in front of the doors, and then all of a sudden it's all the other cars, like the street racers, come flying out. It's like sorry guys, my phone's going off. So yeah, so it's like, so they all come flying out, and they're all like, it's a scramble. It's like holy, there's like the people in the helicopter, the Miami's helicopter one. It's like holy shit, and it's like a one of the street racers like, it's a scramble, baby, a big one, kind of thing. He's like, I can't quite do what he does, but it's like fuck it. They go for it, and then all of a sudden you hear from Brian goes, "Yo, let's break," and they all just like literally like come out of that area and go just like literally go down the road and all that. But then they tracking the cars what they originally had. They thought it was them, but then it stopped. They get stopped at the end of this side thingy, and they say to the people in them cars to get out with their hands up, and it's Tej and Suki. And what makes me laugh is that what Tej says. He goes, whoa, fellas, I know my tags are out of date, but damn, kind of thing. Which makes me laugh, because they thought it was Brian and Roman what was in them cars, but it wasn't. They had the muscle cars, and they was going to Rome, and what was it? It was like normal road. It was like water either side, and of course, it was his pit where Roman decides to eject the bad guy out of his car. He goes, enjoying the ride? It's classic American muscle. This car does all sort of things you like to see. And then he starts smacking his head off the off the dash, and he undoes the seat, but he undoes the seatbelt first, and he starts smacking his head, and it's like the bloke sat there like holding his head, like all dazed and confused kind of thing, and then he picks up then Raymond gets the button, presses the button, ejectocito, cuz, and it's like launches him out the car into the water. And he's like, stay on your toes, puto, kind of thing, because he's like, and then it's like he goes to, then he gets on the radio to Brian. It goes, blow and go, Mr. Connor. It worked. Meet me at the drop point. It's on. Come on. It's like Brian was like 10-4, and he's like, and he was about to use his like ejector seat on the bloke what's in his car, but then he figures out. He goes, he says, take the exit at Tarpon Point. He goes, Tarpon Point. There's no airstrip at Tarpon Point. And then it's like the bloke who's in his car goes, you said anything about an airstrip, and is like, because they got like word from Monica, which is the undercover's custom agent, that he was taken off in the jet, but that he tricked her saying that he was gonna go, like he's be taken off in a jet, but then he's obviously he figured out that it's like that it was actually that he's like made that he's caught her out now, that he knows that she's a cop, so now he's on a boat. So it's like Brian and the bad guy go to borrow the money, and he's like, what was it? He goes, where's the other car? He goes, it's on its way. He goes, so you know nothing about the agents what sees my jet, I think it was. And it's like he looks at Monica Fuentes, and he's like, goes 11.5 months and you slipped, and he goes like, get on the boat, and she's like fights back a little bit with like the person who's like trying to get on the boat, and then Verone decides to point a shotgun at her, and he's like, get on the boat, and at this point she's looking at Brian, and Brian's just like, just do it, kind of thing, and then he's like, and then he says to the other bloke who was in the car with Brian, I don't know his name, I think it was, I think their names was Roberto and Enrique, I think it was their names, I'm not sure, because it's like, I don't really pay attention to the bad guys' names very much, like if they're like different language, I can't quite understand them, so it's like, he's like saying to Brian, like, back in the car, let's go, and of course, they get back in the car, they hide the cars, and he goes, you know, I like you, but I I have to kill him. It's my job. And of course, Brian's starting to press the button for the ejector seat, which doesn't work. And then the bloke's like, what's that? And he's like, he's keep pressing. He goes, what is that? And then you hear from the radio, it's Basto, baby. It's about to get ugly. And it's Raymond, what's come flying up behind in the Charger, which is like a orange Hemi Charger, what he's got. And he like smacks into the 4x4 what's sat behind him. And then Brian's fighting with the bloke in the car for the gun. And then he's like, obviously, you know, he's like obviously like grabbed out of his hand, smacking it off the dashboard, trying to get out of his hand. And then the gun fires, and then Brian's like, let's go, come on, let's go, kind of thing to the people who's driving the boat. And of course, Raymond comes to the rescue for Brian. He pulls the bloke out the car, and but also Brian falls out the car as well. And it's like he's still fighting him for the gun, and it's like Brian manages to get the gun, but then Raymond knocks him out, knocks the bloke out. He was fighting with Brian for the gun, and it's sorry guys, I'm just like, my head's all over the place at the moment. Yes, it's like he gets the gun off of him, and as they run around the corner, they see like Verone and Fuentes are out in the water now. But they get back in the car, and Brian says to Roby, he says, thanks to save my ass. Thanks to save my ass, bro. He goes, what are we gonna do? He goes, I don't know. He goes, if he sees a customs boat or a helicopter, she's dead. And of course, Raymond's sat in the passenger seat. Boat, car, and he goes, you're not gonna do what I think you're gonna do. And then Brian turns around and goes, yeah, I think so, bro. You got my back. And he's like, you know, this is a proper Dukes of Hazzard shit. He's like, put on a seatbelt, because this is gonna be big, alright? And they put their belts on, and they hit about, like, I think it's about 120 or 140 in the car. And it so as they're getting towards to this bit where they got like this there's like a little jump thingy what goes over to where the boat's actually coincidentally going. Poor Raymond in the passenger seat is like, Brian, you're crazy, man. What are you doing? Kind of thing. He's like near enough crying. Poor Raymond is. And as they're at the jump, it's like as it goes up, Raymond turns around. He sees the car coming towards him, but as it comes as the camera's looking at the car coming towards it, but on the side though, you can see it doesn't make it, but they use like a bit of like CGI to make it look like the car actually made the jump onto the boat. But then they finally get hold of the finally get onto there. So then they sort out Verone. They put a shot into his shoulder, which knocks him down. Then obviously Fuentes gets the shotgun, points it at Carter and says, it's over, Carter. So then they get back onto land, and it's like they say to him, he goes, there's like, so they thought there was only 3 bags, and he goes, and then Raymond says to thingy, saying, so are we cool now? Is my record clean? He goes, you held up your end of the bargain. And then of course he looks at Brian looks at him, nods his head, and he goes to the car what he used to trash the 4x4, which has got the other 3 bags of money in, and he drops it in front of him and goes, so make that 3 bags. And of course he shouts to the other bloke over, he goes, we've got some more evidence here. And they obviously say it was like they had fun, it was good working with them and all that. And they get halfway, he goes, I think I have to stay in Miami with you to keep you out of trouble, kind of thing, to Brian, because that's what Raymond says to Brian. And he says, gonna kick it in Miami, open a garage, start have our own little shop together. He goes, garage, and then Brian looks at Raymond, and he goes, my pockets ain't empty, cuz. And of course, Raymond lifts up his top, and he's got money all the way around his waist, what he's took out the bags. They've actually took some money out of the bags though, before they gave them to gave them to the like to the customs officers, obviously. And it's like thinking how they done that. It's like, how did they do it without being caught, like by the bad guys, like taking money out of the bags? But so yeah, so it's one of them things though. But I think I'm gonna end the stream just here for you guys, because it's like I'm getting really hungry, and I gotta sort the dog out, and I gotta quickly do some other stuff as well. So the next stream, it's gonna be, I'm gonna like do some like in-depth coverage on the cars from Tokyo Drift, Fast 4, Fast 5, Fast 6, Fast 7, and Fast 8. Obviously, I'll do all the cars from them ones for you guys, and then I'll do some, like, we'll try and, me and my good friend will try and recreate some race scenes as well for you guys as well. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here for you guys. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Please give it a like, thumbs up, share, and if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe, turn on that post notifications. This video was a bit difficult for me trying to speak, because as you guys can hear at the moment, I'm struggling to find my words. But I do enjoy doing these videos for you guys, and I appreciate your support, like, to help me do this. And I love doing videos for you guys. It's one of them things what helps, like, keeps me like chilled out and everything. I'll be doing some videos on Black Ops 4 soon. I'll be doing some high round attempts at the moment, like doing some high round attempts for you guys. At the moment, my highest round is only like 93, but I'll be getting up past over 100 rounds. That'll be on Blood of the Dead for you guys. I'll be doing some like few pack-a-punch guns. So I've already pack-a-punched all the guns, so I know which ones are good, which ones are bad. So yeah, so I'm gonna end the stream here for you, and please, just remember. Sorry guys. As always though, guys, drive safe, be good, abide by the rules, don't do anything illegal, and most of all, ride or die.